Good evening. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the Boxborough Candidates Forum for Contested Races. I'm Pam Collins, a member of the League of Women Voters, Acton area. We'd like to thank all the candidates for running for office and for being part of this forum, and also appreciate all of you who are attending tonight or are watching at home. The purpose of this forum is to give voters an opportunity to learn more about the candidates and cast an informed vote. The League is well known for its long-standing commitment to voter education. Our goal is to be fair, inclusive, and informative. We do not support or oppose candidates or political parties. The League is a nonpartisan grassroots organization, and we welcome new members. Before we get started, I'd like to thank those who helped with tonight's forum. Thank you to my co-chairs Susan Bach and Tara Zanto, and League members Lisa St. Amon, Pat Clifford, Leslie Hogan, and Jeannie Vineyard. Thank you to our town clerk, Becky Harris, for her assistance. And thank you to the DPW for setting up the room, and Kirby Dolak and his Boxborough BXB-TV team for all the work that goes into recording and broadcasting this forum. It is being broadcast live and will be available on demand on the town website. Last but not least, a big thank you to Karen Gazzardi for serving as timer. Now I'm pleased to introduce our moderator, Sue Flykop, from the Wayland League of Women Voters.
Thanks, Pam. Okay, so before we start, I have a list of rules and the format about tonight that the candidates have received, just to fill you in on the secrets. We'll be hearing from the candidates in contested races in the order in which the offices appear on the ballot. Opening statements will be in the order candidates appear on the ballot as well, and closing statements will be in reverse. I will call on candidates to answer questions in a random order. Candidates will have 90 seconds for opening statements, 90 seconds to answer each question, and 90 seconds for a closing statement as well. There will be additional rapid-fire questions where candidates will answer yes or no. And you are welcome to use part of your closing statements to explain your reasoning in the rapid-fire portion of the Q&A, but I'm going to hold you to yes or no. Just be warned. Candidates may not interrupt each other and may not make personal references about other candidates. There will be no time for rebuttals, so we can get to as many topics as possible. The timekeepers are in the front row. There'll be a 15 second warning and then a stop sign. You can finish your sentence when it stops. You don't have to stop immediately. Just finish your thought and then stop at that point. The community was invited to submit questions by email, and the League developed questions based in part on those most frequently asked. Given the number of candidates, we will be unable to take questions from the floor tonight. We encourage you to contact the candidates directly if your question wasn't included in the discussion tonight. And for those who may watch the program later, please note that we are recording this on May 1st, so any events that occur after May 1st will not be reflected in tonight's forum. So we're going to start with the select board first. There are 2 candidates for a 3-year seat and 1 candidate for the 2-year seat. And we are going to start with opening statements in ballot order. So Wes, you are first.
Awesome.
90 seconds to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Wes Folks. I've lived in town for cumulatively about 22 years. And I have served on the select board, and I hope to live here for probably about 50 more years, maybe 60. So I've served on the select board for the past 7 years, and I'm asking for your vote to continue my work here. The main question is, why am I running? I ask myself that. But we have a lot of big things coming up in town and a lot of challenges, and I don't really like to leave the problems to other people to fix. We're getting closer to our levy limit. We need a fire station, and there's some prime pieces of conservation land that the town has been looking at to acquire, and so those are all large purchases while also being up against our levy limit. And so during my time on the board in the last 7 years, one of the things that I'm most proud of is a lot of the IT infrastructure and technology upgrades, such as the website, moving to Gmail, among other things. And so the work ahead is not going to be easy, but I'm committed to seeing these projects through, and I want to help maintain what makes our town so special, and so I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Jennifer, 90 seconds to you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Barrett. I grew up here in town, and after moving around a little bit, I came back to raise my family. I have 4 children. They are almost in high school and beyond now, and they appreciated growing up here in Boxborough. They have strong ties. One of them actually works for the town now. She's a firefighter, so really proud of her. My parents grew up, my mother grew up here, my grandfather grew up here. We have a long history in town. My father served on the Board of Health, and I am now looking for a way to serve the town in a different capacity. I'm a municipal finance professional. I work in municipal finance in another town, and I have the certifications and the knowledge from 13 years of experience in how a town runs. I've worked with all of the boards and committees and departments in multiple ways. Finance is one of the few departments that actually works with every other department. So I know how this town should and can run. And on the select board, I feel like I can help mentor and guide that process. My goal is to listen, ask questions, and make informed decisions that will help keep everything we do within the law and to improve the future of Boxborough.
Thank you. And Sam, 90 seconds to you.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you to the League for hosting the forum. My name is Sam Anderson. I have been a resident of Boxborough for 4 years. I'm newer to town than you guys. But I grew up in the area, and my wife and I have fallen in love with Boxborough because we enjoy the connection to nature. We value the open space we have, and our schools are excellent, and we have 2 young children. Professionally, I'm an attorney with a 13-year career working for and now alongside the state legislature with the particular expertise in climate and environmental law and policy. My work in government has instilled in me the belief that an open, honest, and community-oriented select board is key for Boxborough to address its challenges and improve the lives of its residents. As a parent of school-aged children, I'm focused on supporting our educators and maintaining our schools' excellence, as well as making housing more accessible and affordable. For the past 2 years, I've chaired the Conservation Commission, and in that role, my charge has been to encourage development that protects the land and water that we all enjoy. My experience navigating that fundamental tension will help in my goal to find opportunities for development that strengthen the tax base while protecting our residents and valuable open space. As a select board member, I look forward to engaging the community and helping build an inclusive and sustainable future for Boxborough, and I'm looking forward to tonight's forum. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so now we're ready to ask some of the questions that have been submitted. There'll be 90-second answers. Each candidate will answer each question. And the first question, we'll start with Jennifer first. If elected to the select board, what are your top 3 priorities for the town?
Top 3 priorities are to make sure that decisions are made in a legal and progressive way. There are some restrictions to what we do, and I understand how to find the way around those, or through them or with them. I've got a lot of questions. I've read the town meeting warrant, and I want to make sure that everything that we're doing is done in the best way possible within the law. I am not a lawyer, but I do know municipal law. So my second would be to listen to the people who are speaking and to try and find ways that everybody can be heard in their in the topics that they want to be heard on, whether I'm a voice or listening to help support. And third, I want to make what's considered impartial decisions. I know that there's a lot of talk that says on one side of a fence versus another side of a fence, and I want to try to make sure that my decisions are not necessarily only on one side of that fence.
Thank you. And Sam, 90 seconds to you.
Thank
Top
you.
3 priorities.
So my top priority is to improve discourse accessibility and participation in local government. The CONSCOM was the first board to post its first volunteer board, I guess, to post its meetings online on BXB-TV, and I thought that was very important. You know, we run Zoom meetings because it's very difficult to participate in local government, and a lot of people aren't able to get here on a weeknight. I also see a lot of, you know, vacancies in town boards and a lot of opportunities for people to participate in their communities, and people don't really know how. So that's really my top priority. As I said, I am interested in making sure the schools are on a sustainable path forward, and of course, in terms of protecting the environment and climate, I see a lot of opportunities for resiliency improvements across town. There's a lot of water, and it's getting more difficult for the town to manage. So I think those are the top 3 things that I think, when facing challenges we face, that we need to address.
Thank you. And Wes, their top 3 priorities?
Top 3. So I think the first thing is the fire station. So I don't really think anybody disagrees that we need a fire station, and so that's a very high priority for me. My second thing is employee and staff appreciation. So we had recently done a employer of choice, but even before that, I wanted to work on or revamp how we express our appreciation to staff and the numerous volunteers that we have on different boards and committees, because just like our time is valuable, your time is also valuable, and people come here and give their time freely. And then the last thing, what was it? Oh yeah, so water. So we are currently in talks for water. So we have some coming from Littleton to service Beaver Brook and the Codman Hill. And then we are currently talking with Acton about getting water from Acton as well. And so water is probably a very important thing to me, because having clean, safe drinking water for everybody is, I believe, one of the most important things we can do. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, our second question, Sam, you'll go first. The town's building commissioner and zoning enforcement officer and town council have both confirmed that the current zoning bylaws do not allow for any structure or land to be used for municipal purposes. So it's a 2-part question. Do you support the zoning warrant article, which would allow municipal uses in all zoning districts? Why or why not? And then if you do not support this article, how would you resolve the zoning for municipal buildings?
So I will be voting for Article 1 into a town meeting. But I also think I'm not the person who should be asked about this. The town meeting vote happens before the election. In some ways, I feel like the guy who comes in at the last minute of a group project and tells them how it ought to be done. I get that it's an important issue for a lot of people. My point of departure is trust the process, trust the people in the room. You know, we had a lengthy process that came to a result in a recommendation, and we'll have a vote at town meeting. But more to the point, as a select board member, I will respect that outcome. As I say, trust the process, trust the people in the room.
Okay, thank you. And Wes, the question to you?
The question was 2-part. What was the?
It was about, do you support the zoning warrant article, which would allow municipal uses in all zoning districts, and why or why not? And then if you don't support the article, how would you resolve zoning for municipal buildings?
Yeah. So as written, I do not support Article 1. Technically, or we have also gotten another opinion that says that we can rebuild in or on where 502 is. But I do think that the language should be cleaned up anyways, and typically how zoning articles are brought forward is that it's given to the planning board, they do their research and then bring it forward. And so I don't think that having a fall town meeting is completely too long or far away for that to go through the process of asking the planning board to do a review of the language explicitly, because I've also been a victim of unintended consequences, not a victim, but I've enjoyed the benefits of unintended consequences of zoning issues. So I'm more conservative in terms of it when it comes to changing the zoning bylaw.
Thank you. And Jennifer?
I believe if it's the opinion of the building inspector and legal counsel that it needs to be updated in order to make the town's progress toward a new fire station legal and easier, it would behoove the town to approve the article. If we wait, we are sending ourselves yet another 6 months back on the progress that we've been making. It's been 14 years and we need to keep this ball rolling. We can change bylaws anytime at any town meeting. So if what has been proposed will suffice. If it's not exactly the way we want it to be 2 years from now, we can update it then. But it will get us through to that next benchmark.
Okay, thank you. Our next question, Wes, you'll be up first. Awesome. Proposition 2.5, approved by Massachusetts voters in 1980, limits the amount of revenue a city or town may raise from local property taxes each year to fund municipal operations. This amount is known as the annual levy limit. Boxborough is currently $900,000 shy of our levy limit of $29 million. Would you support an override for the operating budget next year? And how and when do you start educating residents about a possible override?
Oh yeah, I support an override. I mean, I think it's continuous, right? So, I mean, I've been harping on Prop 250 for at least a year now. By harping on it, I mean bringing it to people's awareness, right? Because we have all these unions, we have contracts, and all these raises are going up above 2.5%. And so at that point, 2.5% was actually an arbitrary number that they thought could pass back when it was initially passed. And I believe last year I did the research, and so I think it's something between 18 to 20 years out of the 24 to 25 years that it's been on the books. Inflation has been over 2.5%. In addition, the Social Security cost of living increase and the payment increase for Social Security has actually been over 2.5%. And so I think that we also need to work on advocating for the law to change as well. And so I do see it as a kind of a dual priority going through the legal or the legislature route, as well as starting to, and I believe we have, and there even are some recommendations from last year, warning of a possible override. So I think it's just a continuous process of telling people this is an override and this is why we need it.
Thank you. And Sam, the question to you?
Yeah, I think Prop 2.5 has not been good for communities over the last, I think it's more like 50 years old, but I agree. It has really hamstrung communities who have tried to do long-term planning and support cost increases. You know, the state legislature has not held up its end of the bargain in terms of public school funding. In terms of local aid, also doesn't keep up with costs, and it leaves communities like Boxborough in a real bind. Without knowing the details, I would probably support an override because I think, because otherwise we can't have all the things that we want.
Okay, thank you. And Jennifer, the question to you.
An override is not permanent. It can be undone, but it needs to be done in a way that is logical, and it needs to be done for a purpose. Just an override to cover 1 year is not sustainable. You're going to be continuing to ask for override. And at some point, people are going to say, again, and why? So education will be important, one, because it will be because we have a good education system. But people need to understand that because they're passing an override, that sets a new limit to your levy. Your levy is only as much as you need. The budget drives your levy. So you need to get people informed about the budget and what you're raising the money for. The levy limit is a different number, and it's higher than that, hopefully. And if you need to increase your levy limit, it's because your budget is increasing. So you have to start with the base block of the budget. What is in the budget, and why does it cost so much? In my professional career, we came up with some really creative ways to stay within our levy and keep our budget under control.
Thank you. Okay, our next question, Jennifer, you're going to be first. Although Boxborough is a green community, do you think the town should do more to improve sustainable practices? And if so, please give 2 specific examples of what you would propose.
The first one that I would propose to help sustainability and more just moving in the green direction, I'm going to say is our fire station is not a green building. We need to be on top of the building process to make sure that its energy consumption isn't astronomically higher, and that building can help give back to its space. Creating a huge parking lot is not necessarily the end good option. We need to watch how our new and current buildings are being maintained and how that works toward being that green community. We've got a great new facility right here in just the Grange room, but how is the rest of the building doing? Is it airtight? Is it insulated? I recall some really cold mornings where the windows maybe weren't quite right. Those are all parts of the green communities for the town itself and the costs of the town. Financial background, that's where I go with it.
Thank you. And Wes, the question to you?
So the question was, green communities, what are the 2 projects?
Well, do you think the town should do more to improve sustainable practices? And if so, can you give 2 specific examples of things you would propose?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to live here for another like 60 years, so hopefully it's sustainable, and for my kids too, and grandkids for whoever, and whatnot. But I think becoming a green community was actually a lot of work, and I really appreciate a lot of the work that the Sustainability Committee did to get us here. It actually cost, or we had to get legislation passed just to get it. So I would also agree with Jennifer that the fire station is probably one of the easiest things to make sure that we have good insulation. The windows are insulated. We could do solar, but we also have the budget constraints as well. And so additionally, there are some grants right now. I think that they're going to be applying for the Sustainability Committee to replace all the light bulbs with LEDs to reduce our electricity consumption. And then there are other small steps, or not small steps, but there are other steps along those lines that we can do to make an impact and reduce our energy usage.
Thank you. And Sam, the question to you.
Thank you. I agree with them. Town buildings and town vehicle fleet is a great way to lead by example and while having an impact. As I said in my opening statement, I think about resiliency as something that we are really lacking in town. I don't think we're handling flood events, drought events very well. I think we're at a risk of fire. I think the invasive species is a real problem. I think we need to invest time and resources into making sure that we really are resilient to a lot of the more extreme weather events that we're having and to climate change. And then I would also just point out we have a lot of people in town who are on oil heat and are not able to access the benefits of Mass Save because we are in a municipal utility. I put heat pumps in my house. I paid out of pocket for them without any incentives. I think the town could do a lot more to do outreach to homeowners, educate them about the benefits of electrifying and making efficiency improvements. I don't think the utility is doing enough for that.
Thank you. All right, our last regular question before we do rapid fire will be, Wes, you'll be first.
Great.
Within the next few years, the town's pension obligations are predicted to become one of the largest budget drivers, second only to the school budget. What would you propose to do to address this problem?
Well, we can't really short the retirees because that's the wrong thing to do. So, I mean, we have been more aggressively contributing to our OPEB, which is the retirement package, I guess. I think we do need to start putting more into that as well, because it's not a revolving account, but you put money in, people come out, it earns, the remaining balance earns interest, and so for some time we actually had been underfunding it to save for the budget, but I think the time has come that we do have to pony up, because the people that lived here before us, the people who worked in our town, contributed, got us to where we are. I think it's really important to take care of them.
Thank you. And Jennifer, the question to you.
So every employee pays into a retirement system, which is very different from the private world. In the private world, you have to establish your own 403, 401, all of those. But as a municipal employer, you can garner good help because of your retirement package. It's one of the huge perks, aside from working for 40 hours a week and having to deal with committees every other night. So to be able to maintain that for the employees that are here, we're also responsible for retiree health insurance. Wes mentioned the OPEB fund, other post-employment benefits. So those are ways that the town can save in order to meet the needs in the future. There's an actuarial assessment done of every town every year. It's a 2-year cycle, so it's done every other year in full and updated every other year opposite. And that will help guide how much that you should be saving for that future. At some point that future will come, but you can use that and increase or decrease your contributions as needed in order to maintain your current levels.
Thank you. And Sam, 90 seconds to you.
I think this question relates to the third question you had about Prop 2.5. I think the town is really hamstrung in ways that it can meet the obligations that it has, whether it's the school district or OPEB liabilities. Of course, we've got to support the retirees. I think we're probably under a legal obligation to do so. Yeah, that's that.
Okay. All right, we're ready to start our rapid fire questions, and we'll start with Sam first. So these should be answered yes or no's. So they'll go rather quickly. The first question is, would you commit to attending and participating in Budget Saturday and Capital Saturday?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And Wes?
Yeah.
Okay. The next question, Jennifer, you'll be first on this one. Would you support making Boxborough a sanctuary town and/or support the Safe Communities Act to protect immigrant families?
No.
Sam?
Yeah.
And Wes?
Maybe.
Yes or no? Can I get you to land on one?
I'm going to say no.
The next question, Wes, you'll be first. Would you support Boxborough becoming part of a vocational education district?
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And Sam?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last question, Jennifer, you'll be first. Would you hold regular office hours for Boxborough residents?
I'm going to go with Wes's maybe. I can't guarantee that, so no.
Sam
Sure, if people want to show up, yeah.
and Wes?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. So now we are going to do closing statements, which are again 90 seconds. We're going to go in the reverse order from the way we started. And so Sam, it's 90 seconds to you.
I'm going to read. I don't think I'll take the whole 90 seconds to close. I'm unopposed. I think we all want to move on and hear from the planning board candidates. I've been told I run a tight conscom meeting. I wouldn't want to confound that expectation here, but I just want to say I'm looking forward to serving my community on the select board. Involvement in local government these past few years has been very rewarding for me, and I've enjoyed getting to know my neighbors and town staff through that service. I commit tonight to upholding the values contained in the League's mission statement of strengthening democracy and engaging and empowering voters. I'll do that by listening, engaging, and encouraging participation from everyone in town.
Thank you. And Jennifer, 90 seconds to you.
I want to make myself available, and I will comment on that last rapid fire question. I will be available. It may not be a regular time. I may be able to do some time like on a Friday afternoon. If I know that there's a need or there's an event, I will be there. But as I'm sure everyone here who's not already retired and put in their time, I do work full time. So being available on a regular basis in the middle of a workday that's when most people might be wanting to come. If it's an evening time, I can also be available. So I'm looking forward to attending some meetings of various committees in order to stay informed. That's kind of my main objective, is to be informed, ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, you don't get answers. And if you ask the same question and you get 2 different answers, then we're working on bigger problems. If you ask different questions and get the same answers, well, maybe those questions were close enough, but asking questions and listening and not always talking is going to be a new challenge.
Thank you. And Wes, 90 seconds to you.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to clarify the sanctuary cities, because I do believe that, and I believe that everybody should feel safe here. I don't agree with a lot of the deportations, and I think we have in a meeting said that and the police, it's the current directive that the police do not support any ICE retainer requests or any of that. So we already have that. My main concern comes from the current behavior in the federal government where they're targeting sanctuary cities. I don't want to risk our federal grant status on several issues or for several things. And so that's why. So in effect, we are a sanctuary city without the actual label. The other thing is, if people want to come and meet with me, have questions, email me, call me. I also do work. Some days I work from home, so I can be flexible. But work is now making us go in 3 days a week. And that's like right outside Chinatown, so it's a fun drive. But other than that, I'm pretty available. I'm open, and I can make things work. So if anybody has anything to reach out to me, feel free to. I appreciate your vote, and thank you everyone for your time.
I want to thank the candidates for being here. We have Wes Folks and Jennifer Barrett, who are running against each other for one 3-year term, and then Sam Anderson, who will have a 2-year term coming up. So thank you all for being here. And we are going to switch to the planning board candidates. So you are free to go. And if the planning board candidates who are in the room, please come up. We do have 2 other candidates, right?
I see Mark.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for being here. There are 4 candidates for the planning board and 2 open seats. I know you see 3. One candidate is out of the country but has submitted a statement that I'm going to read. This is all we'll hear from him tonight, and then we'll get to questions with the other 3 candidates. So this is from Mark White. Hello, and thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for allowing me to submit this statement. My name is Mark White, and I'm running for re-election to the Boxborough Planning Board. I'm sorry I can't be with you this evening, but I have an important family commitment. We're presently in France celebrating my mother-in-law's 100th birthday. I've lived in Boxborough for 55 years. I've raised a family here, run a business here, and served on many boards and committees, including Select Board, Finance Committee, Zoning Board of Appeals, Economic Development Committee, and 2 terms on the Planning Board. I'm running again because I deeply care about this town and believe that thoughtful, balanced planning is essential to keeping Boxborough in the kind of place we all choose to call home. We are under increasing pressure for ever more housing and commercial development, tempered by a strong desire to protect what makes Boxborough special, our rural setting, our community spirit, and the ability for people of all ages and incomes to continue living here. I believe we can have both, and I believe I have the experience and the skills to deliver meaningful results. I bring a voice that reflects a perspective otherwise missing from the board. As someone turning 70 and actively engaged in business here, I understand the needs of both longtime residents who hope to remain in town and the business community that helps sustain it. Boxborough's master plan supports growth, but the right kind. With smart, practical planning, we can strengthen our tax base and ease the burden on homeowners, especially those hoping to remain in their homes, while preserving open space, protecting natural resources, and maintaining the rural charm we all value. Over the years, I've worked to support projects that fit our scale and offer meaningful benefits to the town while protecting our resources and rural character. If re-elected, I'll continue to bring empathy, fairness, transparency, and common sense to every discussion. I'll advocate for development that fits our identity and work with landowners, businesses, and town boards to find practical solutions that serve the whole community. Planning isn't just about buildings, it's about people. It's about making decisions that reflect our shared values and help seniors stay, families grow, and local businesses thrive. I'd be honored to earn your vote and to help keep Boxborough affordable, connected, and welcoming for all. Thank you. Okay, so that is the statement from Mark White, and we have 3 candidates here. We have Mark Boxborough, Chris Dowdy, and Andrew Tavalaki. And they're going to start, same rules apply as to the select board. So we'll start with the opening statements, and Mark, you will be first.
Okay.
Sorry, you're not in the order we're going in, but we're going by ballot order, so you are first.
Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm not rattled by that. I'm rattled by the fact that I didn't prepare properly for the meeting.
Uh-oh.
So I'm Mark Boxborough, and I love this town. When I was a young man, I grew up in Acton. I always dreamed of being able to own a home in Acton. And by the time I could finally afford a home in Acton, I realized I wanted to live in Boxborough. And that's why I moved here. I love the open space. I love the quiet, the rural nature of it. I actually appreciate the fact that I have to drive 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get to a store instead of having one like next door to my house. I just really enjoy living here. I've had 15 years of full-time government experience working in municipalities, and I spent a lot of time supporting planning boards and zoning appeals boards, and also the Conservation Commission in 6 different communities. I'd like to get back on the planning board because I see this as an opportunity to help with some important issues. Redevelopment of the 111 corridor, the MBTA communities, and protecting and preserving the open space. So I hope I have your vote this year. Thank you very much.
And Chris, 90 seconds to you.
Sure. Yeah, so hi, I'm Chris Dowdy, running for planning board. I've been living in Boxborough for 19 years, about 11 at a condo in Brook Village, then we moved across town when the kids started getting bigger and needed more space. So I was at an MBTA Communities Forum and realized there's going to be an opening on the planning board, and figured I might as well volunteer where I could hopefully be useful. Professionally, I'm a molecular biologist. I support a team of project managers. Every day I'm brought into situations where the original plan has gone a little bit sideways, and we need to kind of, blame's not helpful, just bring everybody together, all the stakeholders, and find the best fit to move forward. Doesn't have to be perfect, just finding the best path forward. That's the approach that I take to most things, and that's exactly what I'd bring to the planning board. I think we have to balance the needs of the town and the wants of applicants and try to find the best path forward for the town. So that's what I'd like to do.
Thank you. And Andrew, 90 seconds to you.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Tavalacci. When I accepted a job in Cambridge about 5.5 years ago, I knew that I'd be moving my family here, my wife and my 2 daughters. And I knew also at that time that I wanted to find a place that had an excellent school system, because one of those daughters was going to be in school. So I found through my research that the Acton Boxborough school system was actually one of the best in Massachusetts, and I came here planning to live in Acton or Boxborough. I ended up living in Paddock Estates for 9 months, and during that time I had the opportunity to check out the area, and I fell in love with Boxborough at that moment because of all of the natural environment, the open spaces, and the peaceful way of life that it affords here. My professional background is in market research, overwhelmingly in the pharmaceutical biotech industries. I spend my day designing market research studies, and that leads to collecting data, analyzing that data, and being able to use it to produce medical services and products for people. I have a passion for the environment and maintaining open space, and I approach problems in a practical way, and that's why I think I'm good for the planning board.
All right, we're going to move to our questions, and Chris, you'll be first. Our first question is, if elected, what are your top 3 objectives or priorities?
Sure. I guess first priority, would be sorting out municipal use, because it's kind of awkward that we technically maybe can't build anywhere right now. I'll be voting yes on Article 1, but I strongly believe that the planning board needs to take a good look at, do we actually want it as written as a town, and like have the public forums and see what kind of amendments we should probably make to that, because that's the process to amend bylaws. That'd be a first thing, and then mainly seeing some smart development. So I know the former Cisco land, now Capinelli, is probably going to get continued. So we moved into Brook Village, and that area was a big draw. So the fact that we could just walk, live in the condo and just walk to some really nice little walking paths and all these little ponds that are all maintained by that group. Developing that way, that's an example for me of smart development. That balance of, there's the developer gets to build office buildings, but at the same time has to give something back to the town. So maintain all these little ponds and things and all that. So I guess smart development would be 2 and 3, because there's a lot of opportunities around.
Okay, thank you. And Andrew, the question to you.
I guess the 3 things that I would be looking to do would be to, in general, make sure there's a balance between development and sustainability. I'm a nature boy, I'll tell you flat out, but I also know that it's important to be able to protect our assets. Our biggest assets here are our homes. So we have to have development for that. You have to worry about the tax base. You have to keep those things in balance with each other. One of my big goals will also be to try to have the fire station stay where it is, because I think that's the best place that it should be, and also to to see what we can do with our waste in the town and make that a more efficient and better way to keep it down, have less waste, and deal with the waste that we have better.
Thank you. And Mark, the question to you.
I think probably priority one is to build a fire station. I think the issue right now that we're facing is that there's probably a supermajority of people who are going to go to town meeting who would like to see a new fire station. But there's a problem, because there is a group of people who don't want to see it put in their backyard, and they don't want to see it across the street from their homes, and they don't want to listen to the trucks in the middle of the night or the night meetings that will be held at the space, and they want to be able to have a peaceful existence on Stowe Road. So I'm afraid that we're going to go to town meeting and we won't achieve a supermajority on either Article 1 or Article 2. So if elected, I will bring this back, and by fall, we will settle on a fire station location. And I do want to point out that we have multiple town councils. We had one town council say that a fire station is not allowed in any district unless it is allowed in the underlying district for any particular group. Then there was another one that said you can absolutely build a fire station at the existing site. And so did the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and so did the chair of the Planning Board. So it can be done there. We don't need to pass SDM 1.
Okay, thank you. Question 2, we are going to start with Andrew. There's a bit of an introduction, I think, to make sure we're all up to speed. The MBTA Communities Act requires communities with access to MBTA amenities and neighboring communities like Boxborough to change zoning regulations to allow a certain amount of multifamily housing by right. Boxborough must comply with the law by December 31st, 2025, or risk losing grant money from the state. So this is a two-part question. We'll do 90 seconds for each question. So the first one, and again, Andrew, what do you think is the best approach for Boxborough? Paper compliance, meaning zoning areas where multifamily housing already exists, or zoning in an area where multifamily housing does not currently exist and could actually be built? Please support your viewpoint by elaborating on specific parcels or areas in town that could be, should be zoned for multifamily housing.
Well, if I understand the question, I think the best place for that multifamily housing is where it can fit. We don't have a lot of available land in this town, so to have to put it where it already exists doesn't make sense. I think it should go in places where it makes sense, and we should fund that placement if in order to maintain that funding.
Thank you. And Mark, the question to you?
Could you repeat the question? Will that use up all my 90 seconds?
Oh, no, it won't. But I'll skip the introduction if that's okay. What do you think is the best approach for Boxborough? Paper compliance, meaning zoning areas where multifamily housing already exists, or zoning in an area where multifamily housing does not currently exist and could actually be built? Please support your viewpoint by elaborating on specific parcels or areas in town that could be or should be zoned for multifamily housing.
So I think both should be done. We should have paper compliance to minimize it, but we also need to have a variety of housing options for the future, because the next generation may not be able to afford the homes that we live in today. So we're definitely going to need some high-density areas. I personally believe in putting density where density lies and leave open space where open space lies. It's tempting to say we should develop all of our raw land as housing, but there's a serious environmental impact with that. So I think it's going to be a very complicated discussion. It's not going to be a simple answer. But in terms of locations, we could do some, also there is an allowable affordable component to the MBTA Communities Act, And that number can be pushed above 10%. And I think wherever we put it, we should definitely include affordable housing, because we're only 1 or 2 percentage points away from going under. And when that happens, all the commercial space, all the open space, that can be developed as 40Bs. And we're close, and we should pay attention to that. In terms of location, we have 72 Stowe Road. We should do a very low-density version of the MBTA Communities Act, even if it isn't qualifying land. We should do a friendly 40B and put 6 or 8 affordable homes on it. We should.
I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you. There'll be a second part to the question if you want to continue your answer. All right, Chris, 90 seconds to you.
Sure. So I kind of agree that we should probably be able to do both. We could get paper compliance just to make sure we've, just by drawing a circle around a number of existing condos that we have, like all along Swanson. So like Harvard Ridge and Brook Village, you could basically draw a loop around that, and that would qualify us. But at the same time, I think it gives a good opportunity to have some multi-use zoning. So there's the possibility of, I see around town some kind of empty office parks or empty buildings where there's already a parking lot. There aren't like trees that should be cleared. That could be allowed, we could use this as an opportunity to allow multiple uses for that area. So you could potentially have housing with shops, things that happened all over New England. You have a storefront and you live above it, things like that. There's options there. I think we should take advantage of both. We can definitely get, paper compliance in like a couple hours and just have that done and not worry about not meeting a deadline, but still use it as an opportunity as we can.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go in the same order. So Andrew, you're up next. This is part B of the question. If elected, what action will you take to ensure that Boxborough complies with the December 31st, 2025 deadline?
I guess the first action is to see where those places exist, where those properties exist. Make sure we know where the affordable housing sits now, and build a map of what we can do to meet the deadline, and then work on it right away.
Thank you. And Mark?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure.
Sorry.
The second part, you're welcome to use your 90 seconds however you want, but if elected, what action will you take to ensure that Boxborough complies with the December 31st, 2025 deadline?
Okay, so to the other part, because I didn't get to the high-density areas, I'm just going to mention it right now. If we carefully create the district, we could do something at 1414 or 1300 or any other parcels on that portion of 111 between 495 and Middle Road. But if we do them in smaller chunks, then we can control the density so that we don't wind up with all of our housing in one dense location. And we can also use it to negotiate with developers like 1414 to say, here, we'll give you something of value, you give us something of value, and protect the open space behind that land. And what would I do? Hearings, like right away. I talked too long, so I didn't get a chance on my first question to say what my other priorities were, which was getting the MBTA communities thing resolved. So immediate hearings on the planning board are in order.
Okay, thank you. And Chris, the question to you, what action will you take to ensure that you comply with December 31st?
Sure. So paper compliance can be done in a couple hours. So then we will meet the deadline. But then we don't need to be worried about how quickly we need to deal with the rest. And I definitely think that public forums are important because the planning board's only 5 people. It should be a diverse representation of different parts of the town, and hopefully we all together we would represent the town. But we absolutely need to have the public forum and that public input of what the community wants, because we could have some good ideas, but the town might not want that at all, so never mind. Our charge is, we're elected, so we're supposed to abide by the thoughts of the constituents. So yeah, so the paper compliance would be really easy to just check that box, so we don't have to worry about anything, and then get that public input on where we might want to take advantage of other options.
Okay, thank you. All right, our next question. Mark, you'll be first. One of the goals of the Master Plan 2030 is to increase the availability of housing in Boxborough, including subsidized, market rate rentals, and homes for sale. How would you go about bringing this goal to fruition?
Well, in order to increase market rate housing, we need to rethink some of our dimensional requirements on our zoning map. So, and that might include making another residential district in town. Perhaps in areas where there's been a large amount of older housing stock where the lots are already smaller, maybe expanding around that and producing a district that has smaller dimensional requirements that could free up some lots for other houses. Oh, and by the way, I did sponsor the ADU bylaw, which is going to allow us to comply with state law, and it's on the ballot. And I worked hard with the planning board to get that done. And you all should vote for it, because even though it's good for the town, I think, it's also a requirement. We're just simply complying with the law. So sorry for going off topic.
No, that's fine. Okay, Andrew, you're up next on the question.
And my answer is a similar but simpler answer to Mark's answer, which is look at that zoning and change the zoning where necessary. So take the 1.5 acre lots and make them, subdivide them, make them able to be multi-unit lots, and instead of putting one house on them, you put 6 houses on them.
Okay, thank you. And Chris, the question to you.
Yeah, sure. So I think having something in between is a challenge. So when we were here living at Brook Village in a condo, and we wanted a house, there were no small houses. There were no options, and it was a situation of if you can afford a condo, you might not be able to afford a giant house here. So there was no bridge, and that's definitely something that I think we should address. Accessory dwelling units is an interesting way to potentially do that, to have like smaller, that's the ADUs, having like some, so where you have a house, you can have a smaller unit that could be, subsidized or separate. That's an interesting way to potentially do that. And also the MBTA communities could potentially give us options of having, different density housing. Definitely want to have the public forums on that, because I understand that if we rezone and we allow maybe six houses where there was one, I'm not sure if that's something the community would wholeheartedly support. Maybe it is. If it is, great. That's an option. If it isn't, then we don't want to do that to the town. So again, it's a situation where what I want doesn't necessarily matter that much. It's more of the gathering the input from the town and then complying with what the constituents want.
Thank you. Chris, you're up next for the next question. A planning board member recently brought forward a proposed gateway business district east of 495 into Boxborough's center. Would you support this effort? And how do you envision Boxborough's village center in 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting option to allow us, I think, to proactively plan for the things we want to have. I know a couple of years ago it was quite the heated debate at a town meeting around the gravel sorting operation happening next to Liberty Field, but that was allowed. So it was allowed. So it had to happen. Or if we tried to stop it, they'd sue us and win. So if there are particular types of industry that we want or don't want, if we can create new districts that actually explicitly spell that out, that'd be a great way to do it. That seems like a good path. And obviously, again, we'd be doing all the public outreach to confirm that, we want these things here, but we don't want those things, and we can just spell it out so we don't accidentally get ourselves in an awkward situation.
Thank you. Mark, the question to you.
Yeah, I would support a rezoning, but you have to be very, very careful when you do something like that. So my time on the ZBA, I've seen that how development of pre-existing non-conforming uses, which would be if you changed the downtown and excluded some of the uses that are already on the corridor, they become pre-existing non-conforming. And there are strange unintended consequences that occur when you change the dimensional requirements. So while you're thinking you're easing the restrictions for the envisioned uses that you're hoping for, maybe restaurants and other things, those dimensional requirements now apply to the pre-existing non-conforming uses that you may not have wanted to be there. And so it's a concern. I was at the planning board hearings. The way to approach it, a reasonable way, is to create the district, leave all of the requirements in place, and then incrementally introduce the uses that you want. And over time, examine what happens, because there is no undoing zoning when there is an outcome that was unfavorable that you didn't foresee.
Thank you. Andrew, 90 seconds
Could
to
you
you.
repeat the question?
Sure. A planning board member recently brought forward a proposed gateway business district east of 495 into Boxborough Center. Would you support this effort, and how do you envision Boxborough's village center in 10 to 15 years?
Yes, I support the effort without knowing too much about it. What do I expect to be here in 10 to 15 years? I think it'll be a place that is more diverse than it is now. So we'll have some retail, we'll have some more business. We may have even some commercial areas, but it's hard to say what specifically that will look like. I think you do have to think in a long-term perspective and understand what the needs of the town are first before you get into that process. And that's one thing I would have to educate myself on before I participated in that plan.
Okay, thank you. The next question, Andrew, you're first. In the world of business and development, we often hear the phrase, time is money. The planning board has been criticized for the lateness of its meetings and the amount of time it takes to approve projects. How would you propose solving this perceived issue?
I definitely agree that time is money, but when we say that, we usually mean that we're wasting money if we're spending too much time. Sometimes we're wasting money even if we do it quickly. So you have to understand what the situation entails, and I think things take a certain amount of time. Doing them because we've been doing them for 14 years doesn't make sense, and rushing to get something done because we've been doing it for 14 years also doesn't make sense. It takes whatever time it takes, and it has to be done thoroughly.
Okay, thank you. Chris, question to you?
Sure. So I guess what I do professionally all the time is I get brought into a situation where we need to act, and delay is failure. The animals are dead, the cell lines are no longer growing, et cetera. So you often are on a time pressure to quickly assimilate the available information and make a decision, where delay is failure. So you can't afford to wait too long, and you have to make reasonable choices given what you have, and that's often the situation that I'm in all the time. So that's where I'd bring there. Yeah, meetings that go on for 6 hours and where the last 2 hours everyone's been saying the same thing, that is really not a good use of anyone's time. I'll probably be moving the question a lot when there's, I do that at town meeting, when it's the last 12 speakers all agreed with each other. I think we all agree. Can we just vote and just move on to the next thing? It's great that we all agree and we can all high five each other afterwards, but can we let's just move on here. I work for a living. I've got young kids. I gotta get home and do stuff. I can't be here till 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, and running meetings. That's generally how I go. Like if we've come to a decision, we're good. So.
Thank you. And Mark, 90 seconds to you.
Okay, so I've provided technical support for 6 different planning boards in 6 different communities, and from very large to very small, and the ZBA as well. And what I've noticed is there's a great deal of similarity in terms of the time it takes to get it right. Also, these are hearings, and that people have a right to be heard at hearings. And I totally agree that going over the same old ground throughout a meeting is time-consuming and unnecessary, but that takes practice in terms of leading the meeting. If you are the chair, is there a way you can work with the people who are at the meeting who want to be heard, and can they express themselves without just cutting them short? So that takes practice and experience, and I have a lot of it. So that's something that I could do to help shorten the meetings. But in terms of the statutory requirements, the requirements are really what take the most time. Most site plan approvals are accompanied by a required special permit. That permit is going to take months start to finish. And the last anecdote, I won't say which planner it was that I worked with, and it isn't Alec. I came to the planner and I said, you've got to, get this thing passed. This guy's been languishing. He's going to lose his sale. And she said to me, Mark, there is no such thing as a planning emergency. And I tend to agree with the sentiment.
Okay, thank you. We are ready for rapid fire questions. These are yes or no's from you. And we'll start our first question. Mark, you'll go first. Would you approve a zoning change to allow housing in office parks?
Depends.
Is that a yes or a no?
I'm going to say I don't know if I'm going to say yes or no. Depends on the
It's
circumstance.
not a no.
It was yes, no, or I don't know, right?
It's neither.
So I'll take an I don't know.
That's against the rules. I just want to make that clear. Okay, Chris
Yes.
and Andrew.
Yes.
Okay. Chris, you're up next on this one. Do you support zoning changes to create a town center?
You have to be yes or no, so yes.
Okay. Andrew?
Yes.
Mark?
I read the guide. It said yes, no, or I don't know on the form. But
It says yes or no on my form, but okay.
Well, we'll go with your form.
Okay.
My answer, I already answered it earlier, is yes.
Okay. And I can't force you to give me a yes or no anyway. Question 3, Andrew, you're up first. Do you support cluster development permits, those that allow for reduced dimensional regulations in exchange for conservation land, similar to the park at Beaverbrook?
Most definitely.
Mark?
Absolutely.
Chris?
Yes.
Okay. And the last one is Mark first. Again, do you think the town needs more public infrastructure to support water and sewer in the future?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
And Chris?
Probably. So
Okay.
I guess yes.
All right. Thank you for mostly agreeing to yes or no's. And now we're going to do closing statements, reverse order from where we started. So Andrew, that means you are first, 90 seconds.
Okay, I took too long last time, so I'm going to read straight from the paper. Although I'm relatively new to town, I feel I can bring a fresh perspective to some of the ongoing issues we face, namely balancing development and with the need to maintain our rural and our open spaces and preserving a healthy environment for our children, as well as maintaining our ecosystems. I believe it's possible to develop responsibly and in a sustainable way. So as a member of the planning board, I will do my best to maintain or increase the quality of life that we enjoy in this town, while understanding that well thought out development may be necessary to maintain or increase the value of our biggest assets, our homes. I want all voters to know that I'm here to listen to your concerns, and I'm willing to do the hard work that is required to address them. So I ask for your vote for Planning Board on May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chris, 90 seconds to you.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess thanks again to the league for the invite. Good discussion. I'm glad to be a part of this. So Boxborough is a right to farm community. If you want chickens and goats in your backyard, go for it. Property owners should be able to do whatever they want with their land within reason. site plan review and special permitting is our process for that within reason. That's the planning board's job. We aren't here to rubber stamp everything, nor are we here to block everything. It's to work to balance the needs of the town, the wants of the applicant, and help them to find that path to yes. You know, they come back like, here's all the things that you need to do for us to be okay with that. And if they come back checking all those boxes, then we're good. It's unfair to make new boxes to check. There might be something we forgot about, we missed. We're all human. That's fine. But ultimately, our job is to help define a path to yes. And that's, you know, that kind of balance development is something I want to see here in the town. I think that's definitely something we can do.
Thank you. And Mark, 90 seconds to you.
So being a building commissioner means that you know how to do ministerial permitting, which that's the sort of permitting where you check your boxes and you see that the boxes are all checked and you move it along. But also on the ZBA and supporting the ZBA for many years, I've learned that there are also discretionary permits. And the nice thing about the discretionary permit is that you get to really take into account what happens to the community. In fact, the requirements of a special permit is that a net benefit must be achieved from development. So there are property rights and there are also rules. And there are also the impact on the neighborhood. And all of them have to be taken together. And with my experience, I can steer projects. I can take a potentially bad project and make it better. And I also, backtracking to, I don't even remember what question we had, you know, I would support a zoning change for a town center. But a lot of the problems that are occurring in town center is the fact that we are not regulating the aesthetics of buildings. So we've gotten a lot of sort of mediocre looking strip malls throughout the years, and we live with that for the rest of our lives. So I think it's time to set up some design review requirements alongside the zoning. Thank you. I hope you'll vote for me.
Thank you to the candidates. We have 4 candidates for 2 open seats. Here in the room with us, we have Mark Barbadoro, Chris Dowdy, and Andrew Tavalacci. And we had a statement earlier from Mark White. So thank you, candidates, for running. And next up, we have the library trustees. If you can come up, those who are candidates. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. We have 3 candidates for library trustees. There are 2 open seats. Our candidates are Rob McNeese, Mickey McDonald, and John Markowitz. Thank you for being here. You'll be happy to know there are no rapid-fire questions for library trustees. Sorry. We are going to start with opening statements, though, the same way in ballot order. So, Rob McNeese, you have 90 seconds.
I have lived in Boxborough now for 48 years. I've been a trustee for some 30 years. I have enjoyed my time at the library. I am thankful to the library for having the house that we live in, because my wife learned about its availability when she was going to a trustees meeting. I started in 1994 as a fill-in for somebody who wanted to withdraw from the board. And she knew that I liked books, and that was enough to think that I might want to work for the library. And so I signed on At that time, the library was in the little building at the top of Middle Road that is currently the museum. The board at that time was considering building a new library. It didn't take long before we realized that Blanchard would need some redoing. So the board at that time did scratch the planning process. And so I stayed on through the years until it finally bared fruit in 2005.
Thank you. And Mickey McDonald, 90 seconds to you.
I'm Mickey McDonald. I have been a Boxborough resident for a little over 12 years now. And the library is just a really important part of our life. And I always knew that I wanted to become more involved in the community. And now is when I have the opportunity to do that. My son is about to leave Blanchard and go to R.J. Gray, so I have a little bit more time in my life to dedicate to being more part of the town. I'm also an archivist. I have 17 years of academic library experience, so this felt like a really natural fit to be able to use my experience to help out our local library.
Thank you. And John Markowitz, 90 seconds.
Thank you very much. We've been in town for over 31 years. During that time, I spent 23 years on the planning board, 3 years on the select board, and I'm currently on the Water Resources Committee. We've always been very strong supporters of the library. Liz was on the building committee for the new library that was built. And prior to deciding to apply for this job, or put my papers in, if you will, I sat down with Paishan, our wonderful library director, and I talked to her about what are some of the key issues that she's looking at. And one of the issues she mentioned to me is that she has to update the 5-year strategic plan. And I said, well, my background of being the co-chair of Boxborough's 2030 master plan would fill in nicely for me to be able to help with that activity. I also talked to her about some other new activities that could be introduced at the library. In addition to that, I reached out to a number of existing board members and board members who had been there previously, and asked them what they thought some of the critical issues were for someone to be successful on the board. And what they said to me was supporting the existing staff, understanding the shifting nature and trends of how people get information, and providing a timely and pertinent performance review for the director. Those were some of the main items. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to dive into our first question, and Mickey, you'll be up first on this. How would you respond to a patron who wants the library to consider banning a book or books at the Sargent Memorial Library?
I would say that we've hired professional staff. We have collecting policies that guide what books are in the library. And our staff knows the community, what materials we should have. And just because a book is in the library does not mean that you need to check it out or you need to read it. There's many things that are on the shelves that I would have no interest in reading, but other people would, and they should be available. I'm an information professional. This is what I do every day, and I believe having access to information is really key. Not every book that exists is in our library. It's a small space, and we have people that know what they're doing to grow the collections for the people that they're serving.
Thank you. And John, the question to you.
Can you repeat it?
Sure. How would you respond to a patron who wants the library to consider banning a book or books at the Sargent Memorial Library?
I think what I would do is I would listen to what their concerns are, but then also point them to the policy that has been put in place by the director. I know that the board has worked specifically, and Rob knows this, for this issue, because this has become an issue at the library a few years ago. And not only that was an issue with regards to the books, but it also presented a safety issue for the employees in the library, where I believe the police had to come in because of what was happening. So Paishan took the initiative to put together a policy that addresses this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob, the question to you.
It is true that the library has a policy. It also allows anyone who believes a book is inappropriate to make that known to the director. There's a form she can fill out, or he can. But the library tends to avoid censorship as a standard for the American Library Association. So it's a delicate process, and all of the assistants have been trained in working with people in a way that doesn't put them in a spot, doesn't involve really negotiating, but just talking something through and allowing the person to realize that he or she was heard and that he does have an opportunity.
Thank you. All right, next question. John, you're up first. Up first, do you support the warrant article for $50,000 that will be used to change the interior design of the building? And
Yes,
if
I-
so, why?
Yes, I do. Because I sat down and talked to Peshon about it. She showed me what she's doing. And this makes a tremendous amount of sense. Because there's an area right now in the library that holds reference material. Nobody uses that material. They go to the web to get the latest information that they need. Reference material is outdated the day it's published and printed. So she's taking that area out and moving to put a seating area in that for people to be able to have quiet reading areas. Also, she's putting in what has been needed for years, are spaces where people can go and study and work in silence, okay? And they're glass so that people can see what's inside, so their safety concerns taken care of. So I fully support that article. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob, the question to you?
I certainly fully support it. Peshon, we work for a group called the Mass Board of Library Commissioners. They're the ones that advise libraries throughout the state, and they have asked us back in, probably 2021 for a strategic plan for the next 5 years. Out of that strategic plan, there were surveys, there were meetings, different members from the public were drafted to participate in these sessions, and the master plan took place. And out of that came this modification to the interior of the library, which is going to make better use of the space that's available. It's also going to offer us to put in a couple of private areas where people can have one-to-one meetings, or maybe even have a phone call if quiet enough. And so those little areas came out as being things that were needed in the surveys conducted during the strategic plan.
Thank you. And Mickey, 90 seconds to you.
I very much also support the plan. I met with Peshon and saw kind of the drawings that were put together. And as someone who has had many meetings on the phone sitting in the parking lot while my children were doing events there, I'm excited about the rooms that will be available. I think that'll be really great. So yes.
Thank you. Our next question, Rob, you'll be first. What are the strengths of the Sargent Memorial Library, and what areas can be improved?
The strength of the Sargent Memorial Library is the staff and the director. In addition, not aligned with that is the holdings that we have. We have a good collection of books. We have collections of books on CD or books on Libby, which is an application that allows you to download books electronically. And we have a wonderful children's section, and a wonderful children's librarian. So those are the main things that make it the library that is what it is. It also is very good in handling issues required by the public. During the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, we supplied all kinds of things by making them capable of being picked up without requiring people meet in person. That's just an example of some of the other kinds of things the staff does.
Thank you. And Mickey, a question to you?
Could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. What are the strengths of the Sargent Memorial Library and what areas can be improved?
I think the strengths are definitely the staff. I've had such wonderful interactions with everyone that works there, and the programming. Like I said, you know, my son really is there multiple times a week participating in something, and I think it's really given him a sense of community. We learned recently, you know, he and his friends are really good at speech and debate, and the librarian there said that they should kind of continue that. The collections are a huge strength. I love the Library of Things that's going to have a new kind of more upfront space once the library is re-envisioned. In terms of what can be improved, I think I need to be on the board to really speak with the staff and find out where, you know, some of the pain points are and where things can be helped. As a patron, I think everything I have seen has been really wonderful, and I've had great experiences over the years.
Thank you. And John?
Yeah, I would agree. The staff and our director, just amazing people and amazing talent available to the town. Peyshon has just been it's amazing to me the new activities that she has brought forward in the library, all during all parts of the day and during parts of the week. Okay, there's activities in the summer and in the springtime outside on the lawn. There's activities in the evenings in the winter for adults. She's encouraged people. I know that I've had some friends. Hong Bing is a national artist in Massachusetts, in the country rather. And she came to me, she was on the planning board with me, and she said, John, I'd like to offer watercoloring. Can you help me figure out how to do this at the library? I called Peyshon, it was done. So she's interested in taking knowledge from the community and having that shared amongst the rest of the community through the library. I think that's tremendous. In terms of what needs to, some of the things that might need to be done, there's very few, but I talked to Peyshon, I said, you know, there are a few groups that don't get as involved in the library as they could. And one of them is the generation that I'm part of, the old farts, okay? We're retired or semi-retired. Are there activities that we can create for people like us? And there are, and I've given her some ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a good segue to our last question. Mickey, you'll be first on this one. In the last 20 years, libraries have evolved from borrowing books to providing a host of other programs. Where do you see the library in the next 20 years?
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm at work. I think the library is just a really kind of important kind of third space for the community. So it's not home, it's not work, it's another space where we can get together, we can share information, we can learn, grow, we can escape kind of the world in a book, you know, and I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, but we also need to support, because the staff, you know, can't do everything, it can't be everything to everyone, but it is a space that we can leverage and we can all come together. It's not just, you know, as it's been said, a lot of things are digital now. It's not just a print book anymore, but it's that opportunity to come together, to learn together, and to grow.
Thank you. And John, the question to you?
Yeah, so the libraries are evolving, okay? They're more than a place to come and get a book, get a movie, get an audio tape. And Peyshon and her team have done a great job to create an environment that encourages personal growth, enriches lives, fosters social connections, and promotes civic involvement. And that's where it's headed, more of that. And she's doing it now, and we need to continue to grow that portion of the activities of our library. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob, the question to you.
For 15 years, that's a little far ahead. We're in the process of redesigning our interior. We have a library of things. If you watch local news or evening news, occasionally you find out that libraries are offering all kinds of things other than just things. Some libraries set up areas where you can cook, where cooking can be taught. Some others have set up work areas where different kinds of construction can be done. So, in order for something like that to happen in our library, we will need to consider perhaps adding on. And that's a question that may have different kinds of problems associated with it. So I'm not going to go too far there. But what we're doing with the libraries of things and everything else is trying to make it easier for people to sign out these things, make them available in the card catalog so they're easier for people to get at. And for the rest of what I would say is just support Peishon and her staff and the trustees, because they spend a lot of time thinking about this.
Thank you. And we're ready for closing statements. We'll do reverse order from the way we started. So, John, it's 90 seconds to you.
Okay, thanks. I'd like to first thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this event. And I'd also like to thank the members of the audience who didn't get to ask questions, but I'm sure many of you have submitted them, and I thank you for those. These are great questions. And as I mentioned earlier, the library is more important, more than just books, okay? It's a gem for this community to get together. And when I talked to Peishon about finding new things that could be done, I thought about all the programs that she has, and I'm saying, for people like myself who are semi-retired and might like to get together with a group of people, there are some activities that could go into the library during the time of the day where it's not being used. Things like maybe having an investment club or a chess club or something of that nature. As a member of the Library Board of Trustees, I will support the director and her staff in fulfilling and enhancing the role of the library. I'll utilize my public and personal experience to assist in the development of the next 5-year strategic plan. Throughout my life, I have been guided by the words of Robert F. Kennedy, not to be confused with Robert Kennedy Jr., okay? And what he said, and this stuck with me, some people see things as they are and say, why? I see things as they can be and say, why not? So I would greatly appreciate your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mickey, 90 seconds to you.
I want to thank the League, thank everyone for being here. For me, this was really great. I look forward to coming to more of these events, honestly. I really look forward to becoming more a part of the community, to leveraging my experience in all areas of the libraries to kind of be a sounding board and a support system for the rest of the trustees and for Peishon and the staff, and really helping the library continue to be what a wonderful place it is for Boxborough and for its residents. And I hope that you vote for me in May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob, 90 seconds to you. You're closing us out.
Well, I too would like to thank the League of Women Voters for holding this, and to thank you, the public, for attending. I have enjoyed my time on the library. I have worked with 4 different directors, and I've worked with some wonderful trustees. And they all have one thing in common, that they really want to support the director and the staff and build the library into whatever it can become. I think when you go over what you've heard tonight, we have been successful. I look forward to continuing to work to support the director and her needs. to support her as she wrestles with new problems, because they're coming now that our president has said something inappropriate about libraries and museums, and some people are losing all of their funding. We're lucky that our MBLC has planned for this a little bit, our state has planned for it a little bit, and the consortium of libraries that we belong to, this thing that you hear here called CW Mars, has also prepared for it. So hopefully we will not run into trouble, and thankfully this crowd has made me believe that the library is going to be well going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Boxborough voters, you will be voting for 2 of these candidates for library trustees. We have Rob McNeese, Mickey McDonald, John Markowitz. Thank you so much for being here. And I don't want you to all leave, because Pam's going to come back up here and say a few words. But let's thank the candidates, please.
I think this was the most informative candidates night, and thank you so much, Sue. We couldn't have done it without you. It was really wonderful, and thank you to Karen and Pat for doing the timing. Thank you to the candidates. I just want to share some voter information dates before we finish. Tomorrow, May 2nd, is the last day to register to vote in the town meeting and election, and voter registration will be available at the police station until 5 p.m. Residents can also register online until midnight. Tuesday, May 13th is the last day to apply for vote by mail ballot. Applications must be received by 5 p.m. at the town hall. The applications will then be processed and mailed, and those voting by mail will need to mail them back so they are received at the town hall by 8 p.m. on Election Day, May 20th. They can be dropped off at the town hall in the slot in the locked box at the front door or at the town clerk's office. An Election Day postmark is not sufficient. They must be received by 8 p.m. on Election Day to be counted. May 19th is the last day for in-person absentee voting by noon at the town hall. May 20th is Election Day. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the town hall. Thank you for coming tonight. Please join us for refreshments and time to talk with the candidates. Good night.